Now, if there's one brand that have been extremely busy lately, it's without a doubt Royal Enfield. We've seen quite a few new models released over the past couple of years, and today we're bringing you a review on their latest release, the Guerrilla 450. Now, although it may share the same frame, water-cooled Sherpa 450 engine, the TFT dash and LED lighting as the recently released Himalayan 450, when you start to take a look closer, you'll soon notice the little Guerrilla is quite different, with a revised head angle and subframe, a smaller fuel tank, and of course a 17-inch front wheel. Now, my first ride on the Guerrilla was on the Australian launch, where we took a ride up into the Blue Mountains with a group of motorcycle journalists. It was an enjoyable day, but of course the ride gets broken up a fair bit with photo stops and the like, so it was great to be able to actually take one away for a couple of weeks and live with it as a city commuter, which is what the Guerrilla has been definitely designed for. Not only is it a great little motorcycle to learn on, it's also perfect for tearing around the city streets. Now, from the moment you ride the Guerrilla, the new Sherpa motor feels smooth and is surprisingly punchy for a 450. Now, this has a lot to do with that 452cc single featuring a 4-valve head, dual overhead cams and a short stroke design, which is a huge improvement over the Himalayan's old 410cc engine. And even though the claimed output figures are the same of 40 horsepower at 8,000 RPM, 40 newton meters of torque at 5,500 RPM, there has been an adjustment to the mapping and gearing, which makes the little Guerrilla 450 much more livelier to ride than the Himalayan 450. It also features a smooth 6-speed gearbox along with a slip assist clutch and ride-by-wire throttle, which enables 2 ride modes, performance and eco, which obviously changes the power output. I tried eco for a small stretch, but left it in performance for most of the time we had it on test. To be honest, I think eco would be ultimately handy when the weather turns a little rough and you find yourself riding in heavy rain. Other than that, I suggest just leave it on the performance setting. Now, tipping the scales at only 185 kilos, the Guerrilla is 11 kilos lighter than the Himalayan, which is noticeable when you're rolling through the corners. Now, a lot of this weight saving comes from the Guerrilla's smaller tank, which is 11 litres compared to the 17-litre tank on the Himalayan. The seat height is also quite accessible for riders that might be vertically challenged, coming in at only 780 millimetres, which is one of the lowest in the mid-size category. It's got a neutral riding position too, made even better with the mid-mounted controls. It did get a little uncomfortable after an hour or two riding, but nothing that will leave you needing a chiropractor to get you off at your destination. Now, with its small windscreen, tubular tank protection, split seat and luggage rack, the Himalayan looks serious and purposeful, while in contrast, the Guerrilla features retro styling along with a few notable differences, including the 17-inch cast alloy wheels and the shorter and non-adjustable, non-inverted 43mm telescopic front fork, which offers about 140 millimeters of travel and gives you a nice good feel through the levers. Now, when it comes to soaking up the rough stuff at the rear, the suspension consists of a shower linkage type monoshock, which features adjustable preload and offers about 150 millimeters of travel. Obviously, being a 450, you won't be pushing the limits too hard, but that's not saying you won't still have a lot of fun tearing through the twisties, as it really is a well-balanced and punchy little motorcycle to ride. With the peak power kicking in at 8,000 RPM, you will notice some vibration coming up through the pegs and bars, but that's inevitable when you're having a red-hot go on a single-cylinder motorcycle. But it's not a serious issue, and you will get used to it. I will say the semi-off-road tyre selection is a little bit of a head scratcher, which to me is more for aesthetics than function, especially considering, unlike the Himalayan, the Guerrilla hasn't really been designed for off-road riding. And when it comes to rider aids, it's only a 450 single. So naturally, you don't expect too much when it comes to the tech side of things. So there's no traction control, but as mentioned earlier, there are 2 ride modes, performance and eco, which can both be switched on the fly. There's also a dual channel ABS system working with bi-brake brakes and with a single fixed 320mm disc at the front and a 2-piston caliper accompanied with a 270mm disc and a single piston caliper at the rear. Braking performance is not going to leave you in awe, but it's more than adequate when you take into account the bike's capacity and level of performance. To be honest, once you start rolling through the corners, like me, you'll be surprised at just how well the Royal Enfield Roadster feels and handles. It really is an impressive motorcycle with great acceleration along with a strong mid-range, and by staying in the mid-range of revs, you'll soon discover that the Guerrilla is a zippy little road bike that you'll have a lot of fun riding. Now, understandably, it does run out of steam on the motorways, which is where you'll also feel those vibrations previously mentioned. But overall, it's a strong, lightweight package that's agile and extremely nimble to ride, especially when you're giving it some stick through the urban jungle. Okay, so the Guerrilla 450 is available in Player Black, Brava Blue and Yellow Ribbon colour schemes. And I'd have to say the colour I like the most is the Yellow Ribbon, which is what you see featured here, featuring the bright yellow and black gloss, all accentuated with the purple Royal Enfield tank badges, the 450 graphics and the wheel highlights. Very impressive. Another handy feature is you can also access your music, messages and maps and a lot more with Royal Enfield's Tripper TFT display, which also features Google Maps. And for those that might want to take the Guerrilla 450 a little further, there's also a long list of genuine accessories available, including engine and sump guards, urban and bench seats, tinted fly screens, that's just to name a few. It really is another great addition to the Royal Enfield stable, and one that will once again entice quite a few new riders to the road. So if the adventure styling of the Himalayan 450 is a little off-putting for some riders, the Guerrilla 450 is sure to have high appeal, especially for those that like a touch of style. And if you think this could be the bike for you, get on down to your local authorised Royal Enfield dealership and take one for a test ride, because you'll be surprised.